process never ceases to amaze me. We're making these forms from human breath out of this transparent material, you know, and how anybody ever even thought of this concept of blowing air down a tube to make a bubble, to make a form, was the really extraordinary thing.
Stay there a minute. It's mental energy that really tires you, not physical energy. That's why I like to do it without thinking. Raven will tell you, man, I don't think when I'm painting. Do I, Raven? Yeah, and the way I paint or draw anyway, I don't think about it very much. If I'm thinking about it, that kind of means that I don't know what to do. I'm thinking about, oh, I want to draw, now what can I draw? And I'm not inspired, because that can happen very easily. Then they start to get mundane. On the other hand, if I start making drawings that I know how to do already, and if I can go fast enough, they start to get really good. Just like this. This is not meant to be a piece of sculpture, but if I put this whole pile of stuff together, just in the most random way, I could have high school kids come in and do it, all right? That would be the way it looks best, in my opinion. Well, I'm not sure what I want, you know, but what I want is having something that I think looks good, but I sure in hell don't know what that is yet. Now, if you add 10 pieces here, and the reason I'll be able to build it faster, I think, than most people, is that I will not be making very many judgment calls or aesthetic calls. I would just, like I do any of my sculpture, I just build it. She's going to do the gourds and okra. You're going to stick the horns. Anybody want one of these? Looking great. Looking really nice. Now, there's no way to use these 4-foot horn balls. Am I right or wrong, Raven? Well, can you do something with it or not? Is that too long? Looking really nice, you guys and gals. More short horns to the right of the pile. Plenty of okras right here, there and there. If you don't have the size you want, you tell me. At some point, I want to use this piece right here. At some point, maybe on top. I happen to have 2 horns sticking out exactly the same length on opposite sides. I wouldn't have done that. You see how they're sticking out?
Watch there's a horn ball.
You solved it. Done. Now you got a hole over here, which I like. See the little hole in there? I like that. Because that's the way nature would do it. And there's 2 against the wall that I want to use. Don't forget them. If you can put them and make them visible, that'd be very cool. Because somewhere, they're cool looking. I don't know why they don't do more that curly that much. I mean, it already looks beautiful. We're just sort of adding parts now. So you got a little hole on this side, but I leave it there. Looking great. Congratulations, everybody. Good job.
And really, what I've always been interested probably in is space. Even when I made the macchias, my interest was always in space. So I was thinking not of the object itself, but how the object would look in a room. I had seen a chandelier in Barcelona when I was traveling in a restaurant. I went into this Italian restaurant, and there was a chandelier hanging at eye level because it had a low ceiling, and it was really beautiful. And when you sat down to eat, it was right above eye level. So you looked underneath the chandelier when you were sitting down, and it acted as sort of a centerpiece for the table. So I love this idea of hanging a chandelier at eye level. And it triggered something that said, I now can make a chandelier because it doesn't have to be functional. And so I made a chandelier for the Seattle Art Museum. It looked sort of like yellow balloons. It was made up of about 500 parts, very simple forms that a beginning glassblower could make almost. But we did it quickly. We did it in the 10-day period. And that began the chandelier series. And I started making chandeliers regularly. And over the next couple of years, I made about 25 chandeliers. Not one of them ever sold. And people started telling me, hey, listen, we got to quit using all our resources here to make chandeliers because we're running out of money and nobody wants these chandeliers you're making anyway. And I just couldn't understand why nobody wanted these chandeliers because I really thought they really worked in space. So I kept making the chandeliers in spite of their lack of success. And, all of a sudden, somebody bought one, and then somebody bought another one, and they started selling. And fortunately, that turned out to be that people did like them. It just took them a couple of years to want them. And that often happens with my work. I'll start a series, and it'll take a couple of years before people can understand it, or maybe they have to see it over and over. I don't know what it really takes.
You get an idea like the chandeliers, we're still developing that idea, and it will continue to develop. But in the meantime, there's a lot of new projects going on. And that's one of the great advantages of the team, is that I can continue to develop an idea while new ideas come in.
I woke up one morning and said, I want to hang chandeliers over the canals of Venice, my favorite city. And it all led to Chihuly over Venice.
It is big, it is blue, it weighs a ton, and it is a chandelier. More than 600 glass objects make up this breathtaking sculpture, which forms the centerpiece of the Victoria and Albert Museum's centenary celebrations.
But seeing it in place for the first time, Chihuly felt perhaps he hadn't made it quite big enough.
I think the scale is pretty good from here, but when you get up on the balcony, it seems a little small.
Yes, we were looking for something grand, some really big, unmissable statement for the main entrance, and that's when the first chandelier was commissioned. That attracted all the sort of attention that we wanted. That really made the statement.
And Dale took one look at it and knew that the scale of his ambitions had not been met. And I think luckily the scale of the V&A's ambitions for a Chihuly sculpture had not been met either. So when Dale saw the piece, he immediately turned to the administrators and said, it's not quite big enough. What about when I come back from my exhibition, we'll take this one down, send you a new one, and we'll rebuild it, but larger this time.
So here we are doing it, not only a twice as big chandelier, but a whole show, and I couldn't be more thrilled.
Now, anybody that knows anything about me knows that I really like to work fast, and the faster it is, the more energy it takes, the better I like it. And when I build a chandelier or build a tower or build a sculpture, I just like to build it and build it fast. Now, we might rebuild it a different way, we might rebuild it again, but it's that initial force behind it, the idea behind it, that comes through and when you work in a quick way. this idea of a tower just came from looking at one of my chandeliers and imagining what it looked like upside down.
I'm the type of person that works and feeds off a lot of people. I work with teams. You know, I think in terms of lots of people doing lots of things simultaneously.
And so I conjure up some crazy idea that the team gets behind and says, well, you know, if that's what Chihuly wants to do, that's what we'll do. Often, you know, it's something that nobody quite knows what it's going to be until it happens. You know, you have an idea, comes from somewhere, and it works. You know, it always comes from deep down somewhere. You don't know why you do it. You don't know what makes it work. You don't even know until afterwards, maybe, what happened. It just sort of happened.